Hey everybody, thanks for joining my garden on Outside with Jeff. Today I just wanted to show you what our winter squash harvest ended up being. As you can see behind me along the fence, the vines have been cleared. Squash bug pressure was just getting too ridiculous. Now I will say that this is the latest in the year that it's ever taken for the squash bugs to show up. So I am making some good progress as far as that goes. I've had some years where they'll show up in July, early July. This year they didn't get really bad until I started noticing them the first part of August. There's really not much you can do about them. You can try to fight them, but you're gonna lose. So once they start taking over, once they start trying to get established, it's best just to yank your plants and move on. Take what harvest you have. Otherwise, all you're gonna do is you're gonna allow them to keep producing more generations and generations, and it's gonna build up a bigger problem in future years. So that's what I do. I yank the plants and just move on with life. Vine borers were also an issue for some of the plants. I'm going to go over with these varieties and explain to you what issues I had and what I'm going to do in future years. So we'll start with the golden Hubbard squash. All of these varieties I'm going to show you, I planted 5 plants of each variety to begin with. The golden Hubbard, 2 of the plants died off, so these squash came off of 3 plants. These plants held up pretty decent. They kept on producing even with the vine borer pressure, and that was the main thing that affects all these squash plants. I mentioned that the squash bugs come in, but that's later in the season. Your early season pest you have to mess with is that vine borer, and the golden Hubbards did hold up a little bit better to those. All these varieties are OP varieties, open pollinated. They're not hybrids. They don't have any built-in resistance to anything. And that's where I messed up, honestly. Last year I planted just hybrids, and my butternut squash hybrid, I got over 30 squash, and my kabocha squash hybrid, I got over 30 squash. So this year was not the case. Next over. This is a sweet meat winter squash. Once again, planted 5 plants, lost 3 of them to pest pressures. The other 2 continued to grow, but they flowered. They just did not produce. They did not set quality fruit. That's all there was to it. This next one over, this is a blue Bayou from Haas Tools. All these other seeds were purchased from In My Gardener. This is a blue Bayou pumpkin from Haas Tools. I thought it was going to be more blue. Honestly, the one next to it's more blue than it, but it's got a really unique shape. Interested in eating it, turn it into a pie after it cures for a few weeks, and the flavors get set up. So I was happy with the looks. It's a unique pumpkin. Will I grow it again? Probably not. I probably won't grow any of these varieties again, honestly. It's just for the amount of space, the amount of time, the fact that they have to struggle with vine borers and squash bugs, and to just get this kind of production, it's just not really something I want to do again. But everything's an experiment. I like to grow experimental varieties. All these were experimental varieties for me. Next one over, Long Island cheese pumpkin. Looks just like it shows. Shape wise, it's a hair underripe. It'll continue to progress in storage. Once again, I only got 1 per 5 plants, so you know, it is what it is. Now over here we do have quite a bit more production compared to the last 3 varieties, but I will say the spaghetti squash plant, it definitely suffered the most from the vine borer issue. These plants looked really pitiful. I think what saved the spaghetti squash is it set fruit really quick. Like as soon as the vines were out and they were about 3 foot long, it started trying to set fruit. So it had longer, the fruit had longer to actually start growing and maturing before all the issues that the plants were facing, you know, came against it. Same with the golden Hubbard. You know, it set fruit quicker in its growing process. these three here, they didn't set fruit for quite a long time. So, but either way, spaghetti squash, I'm happy with what I got. I don't normally buy spaghetti squash in the store, but I do enjoy to eat it. So we'll be having some spaghetti noodle alternative dishes with these squash. So all these squash do best if you let them sit and just continue to cure for a little bit. They're going to store longer. They are going to have a better flavor profile. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put them on my porch out of direct sun and let them sit for probably a week or so to let that stem harden up and cure, and then I will move them over to my basement area and we'll start eating on them here in a couple weeks. So probably have some recipes whenever I do my my soup that I make. I'll probably do a video on that, and if I decide to make a pie or something like that with one of these others, probably make a video on that. And when we make spaghetti squash, I might do a video on that. So have a great day from my garden to yours, and remember, not everything in the garden is going to work out the way you intended. I honestly thought between all these plants I would have had at least 15 squash per variety. That would have been 3 squash per plant going into the season on planting date. I thought that was entirely possible, but things don't always work out as you planned, and that's why I like to experiment in the garden. Have a great day.